What we're looking at is a recreation of a 1950s Texaco station. And it started out as a dream for, really not a dream. I was looking for a building with 288 square feet where it could be legal to have a used car license in the state of Tennessee. And I started out with this idea. I bought a little GE portable office.
Okay.
Thought how I'm gonna build onto that. And then in the meantime, a good friend of mine who was a hot rodder and collected vintage advertising like we do, called and asked if we wanted to buy a couple SO signs. I said, I don't need any signs, Roy. He says, well, what about a building? Just so happened this building is, we go inside and see a little more detail, had been moved to Cookeville. It was originally a repair garage for a UPS station. And it's a 36 by 50. And anyway, it was just a standard metal building, and it got moved to Livingston, Tennessee, about 20 miles away. Early 90s, mid 90s, when they tore the station down where this was located, and Mr. Penta used it as a muffler shop and had his hot rods in there. Well, around 2012, they ran a road right behind it, and it actually, I guess they condemned the building and it had to be moved again, so I bought it from him, and you'll see inside what it looked like. But anyway, we had this idea to make a vintage Texaco station, and it was pretty ragged, just a ragged piece of metal, as you'll see the pictures in a minute. And 6 months later, it looked kind of like this, and we actually did the outside in hardy board and used a groove, diamond bit to groove it, kind of make it look like porcelain. And that lasted till about 3 years ago. It started falling apart, and I started looking for something else to do the exterior with. And that is actually it's a Lucabond we use in the sign business. It's like 1/8 inch thick. It's like you'll see on the front of car dealerships and all, new buildings.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's not broken and broke around the frame. It's actually just, it's glued to the wall with zip board underneath it and glued directly to the wall. So it turned out pretty nice, I thought. And the doors are original. And they've held up since about 10 years, but basically that is just billboard vinyl. We took pictures of the cars that we had at the time, and we put them in the photographs, or actually that's photographs on the wall. Didn't know how they work out, but they worked out pretty good.
They look great.
It looks good.
They look great.
The canopy was a standalone canopy, so we modified it to fit to the building like it would have been. Put those stripes and the letters on the outside, and we haven't put the letters back over it. They would say tune-up, lubrication, washing. I've still got the letters and the stars. That's some exterior signs we haven't installed yet since we're repairing it. But there's a 69 Shelby GT350 Hertz car in the picture that I had. The little car underneath is a 26 traditional hot rod, which is still inside. Had a 58 Corvette on top right there, which I sold back then, and 55. Really nice 55 Thunderbird we sold. There is a 66 Suburban that I traded with a friend for working on the bus, and Danny Loftus still owns it. And then right there, just hiding over there, a brake job being done on a 54 Chrysler Town and Country, which is still inside. You'll see it in a minute. And we traded for the canopy and took it apart, brought it back, traded for the pumps, the air meter, and you can ring the bell right there. I guess it's not plugged in right now. We'll plug it in.
Ding dong, ding dong.
But anyway, these are original type Tocom pumps out of the 40s. This station looks 1950-ish. Was actually, if you go inside, the next shot will show you it is a 1936 patent model.
Now that Siamese pump we saw yesterday, have you ever seen one of them before?
No, never saw one. Never saw one. Very, very rare, very expensive item. So
I'd say so. Well, let's go inside and check out what all we see.
I generally show people, I take them right to the front door right here. And the little, I've got a little wall which kind of tells the story. We're kind of collectors. We're not really hoarders. We're collectors of investments you can enjoy. This is actually a model from 1960 in the 50s and the early 60s. Texaco, in order to offer these little premiums, they were actually toys from at Christmas time. Didn't have all the available toys you got now, and this one was $3.50. Here is the actual advertisement. You see two guys playing with it, and you see there's a price, special price, $3.50.
Oh, wow.
This particular model, I know it's original because it came from the estate of the Texaco distributors here in Cookeville, the DuBois family, who's the lady was my first grade teacher, but I ended up getting it through another fellow. But anyway, it's a pretty neat little thing.
It is.
And it actually kind of mirror images this
It
this
does.
station right here. And if you turn right around here, this is a brochure. In the early 80s, Universal Studios built a station on site. And that was before Photoshop or S or whatever they drew it with. They hand drew this thing right here, but that was the model for it. But this station is modeled after this one right here, and then a canopy here. 1936, type A and type, whatever type up there. So, but if you want to see the history of it right here, here's the replica 50s Texaco Center. It was originally a repair garage, and it was built by Mr. Manier. And anyway, in 1990s, it was moved to Livingston, Tennessee, which is a picture here where it looked like up there. And in summer of 2012, the same steel that moved it to Livingston moved it back here. And literally, it was a ragged piece of sheet metal moved in one piece. 6 months later, it looked like this. And there's a real car that we owned. It was a 36 Washington blue Ford 5-window that we had. And anyway.
That is amazing.
That was the red and blue one you got, wasn't it?
Red, blue, and had a 40 convertible black. All one deal.
That's amazing.
But anyway, a lot of little Texaco stuff. A lot, I have not really any rhyme or reason collecting this stuff.
Right.
I'm not into a particular thing. It's got to be cheap, or I love it, or both. and then local things. These little brochures.
Those
Just
are so neat.
a cool little thing right here. A little
Yes.
parking meter I've never seen anything like. Over on this side, just a display case with a couple of more little stations and some things, some picnic items that are taken, kind of period stuff. The cash registers from the parts store here in Cookeville that they shut down 7 or 8 years ago. I've got some more memorabilia from there. On top, you'll see a spark plug tire pump, which is a pretty rare item. You don't see a lot of those as accessories today that come with new cars.
No.
Underneath the AC spark plug case, display case.
AAA emergency service.
Yes, that went on probably on a little pickup truck years ago. But I guess I'm kind of into these little stations. I always wanted one growing up. This is a marked service center, drive through. It's got an elevator, bring that cars up to the top. But anyway, just kind of, and I've got the accessories to go with it. But like I said, there's no real rhyme or reason. Back then you bought all your, didn't have AutoZones and things like that on the side of the road. You bought all your tires, batteries, accessories. You bought those at the station. So this is kind of things that go along with that. There's little Lance jars. You had little snacks there. This way right here, turn right around this way right here and see that lawnmower. Just a little side note, when I was growing up, that was the creme de la creme of a lawnmower.
Lawn boy.
2-stroke lawnmower, and that's a commercial model somebody gave me. And here is a real cool little 3-wheel. I bought this one at the Redneck Rumble 4 or 5 years ago. Before they had weed eaters, this is a trimming mower. 18
yes.
inch. You could go right up next to the tree or whatever, and it's ball bearing. Look here, steer it with one finger.
Yeah.
3-wheeler. If you look right over there, I'm gonna step right over. And if you don't care, I'm gonna show you that little item there because it's Texaco. And because you think about the difference how things have happened, you see over there's some of the things that the different years. That 398 one was 1962. I know it well because I got one of them in 1961. There's one prior to. You'll see out here a little tanker truck. When I came to live with my grandparents in 1961, the very first Christmas present I remember getting was one of those tanker trucks. I've just been interested ever since. Got one of those. Wanted one of the hats, never got a hat. By the time that one there came along, that fuel truck, it's right there. But I was a little bit too old for little trucks then. But if you go back a few years into the 50s, they actually had stilts.
Oh, Texaco
stilts.
Wow.
Those are rare little birds right there.
Now, is that so you could get up to change the price on the...
I'd say that was just for kids to walk around the yard in. Just toy. That was what
just for a toy.
Just toys. Just toys.
Oh.
Right there next to you, there's they didn't throw everything away like they did back in the day. There's spark plug service right there. That's a little sandblast machine. You put your plug in there, turn it up, and clean your plugs. They just didn't throw them away like they do now. Of course, you got the manual typewriter that Diane bought me. There's an original credit card machine. Cash register from back in the day. That little Coke sign down there is spins, and it came from a country store down here in the country. New old stock STP rack, and the old stock Motorcraft rack. I'm sorry that things aren't in any better shape than they are, but they're just kind of kind of the way they are. This up on top is a very, 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 very rare thing. It is actually a little mini billboard from Massey Motor Company in Franklin, Kentucky. A friend of mine who's a collector or picker had a stack of those. And early 1900s, you say, well, how was that a billboard? Well, when you were doing 20 miles an hour on a 2-lane dirt road, and that's nailed on the side of a barn or on a tree,
You can read it.
and it said how many miles, whatever miles do, were nailed on a fence. That was their advertisement for to bring people in from all over. Everything for the auto. They had probably a Chevrolet dealership, and then they sold accessories also. Right where you're standing right here, Miss Angie, this is probably maybe the most unusual bicycle built for two you'll ever see. I know you've seen it before, but it is a pre-war. You know, it's called pre-war. If you look real close down here, you see there's a big wide gap in the sprocket, and that determines it's a pre-war. It's original paint. I think it is the name brand, I believe it's Collins or something starts with a C up there. The only thing I've changed, I put tires on it, which need to be aired up. It's probably about to have new grips and new tires put on it. But it's a 2-speed, like they used to, when I was growing up, a 3-speed English racer was the ticket, but it's a 2-speed. But the most unusual thing right here about this bike is
It's rear steer,
it's
isn't it?
got rear steer. Steer it from the rear. And I was looking at something a couple days ago. I was out here and looked at this bike I've been ridden quite a bit because look at the wear on these handlebars. The guy right here had,
He's holding the.
well, he mounted around the front and the girl riding back. Who knows what happened? But this bike has a history.
It does.
It's got miles on
We
it.
could air it up right now. Y'all rode it, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Y'all
We,
rode it. You can tell it's a ride and drive. This is not just a trailer queen.
No,
This is
no.
the real deal right here. And you know, and the reality is, used to when I started collecting signs years ago, people wouldn't have a sign unless it looked just like this right here.
right.
This is NOS Porter Paints. The reason I bought this is Porter Paints is no longer. A few years ago, PPG bought them out. Now it's PPG. Don't
Right.
see this brand anymore. But I like signs. I like signs. But one of my favorite type of sign is what is called something with a privilege panel. This is called a privilege panel. This is where the dealer, whether it be Coca-Cola or whoever it was,
Would add their.
whether you had the local name. But the fact, and they gave you the sign usually. You were here in Cookville, Tennessee, and every small town across the nation, when, prior to the 80s, when I went in the sign business, if you called into the local Coke or Pepsi, it says, bring me a drink machine. Or they would stop by and want to sell you a drink, or put you a drink machine out and start selling drinks out front. They'd automatically bring you as many signs as you want to put them up for you. And then they maintained them.
Right.
But here's the part. Yes, it was good, but who got the headline?
Porter
The
Paints.
corporation was always headline. Okay.
Yeah, they got the
You know,
headline.
what was underneath. They gave you all these signs, just like this cute little sign here. It's in the old stock coat. It's cute and it looked great and advertised. And then the thermometers, but who did advertise? They'd also help sell drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I'll give a little history about how we got into the business. In 1983, the local Coke plant was the biggest sign company in this area. And they sold out and quit giving away signs. In 1984, Pepsi did the same thing, sold out, quit giving away signs. 1984 was the year we went into the sign business. So it opened some grand doors. God opened some doors for us. Something I got into the other day, I've had this 4 or 5 years. One of my clients came in and said, I got something for you. I got it in the basement, blah, 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 blah. It's not real, and it's paper, but it is a pretty cool item. A perfect circle. It was their poster where they had won all the 31 Indianapolis 500. Cool little thing. This is something here you don't see a lot of. It's not turning right now, but this is a miniature billboard that flipped. And what they would do, it would have different names like a local car lot, a local this, local that, whatever. And you'd see this in a barber shop or a local restaurant or something like that, beauty shop, where people had to sit there for a long time. They'd read these things. Probably anybody got paid $10 a year or something like that to have an ad on there or something. They had to pay for it. Anyway, it's a salesman's sound. So anyway, stuff like this. This is a porcelain pump plate. One of the most rare ones. Pan Am was prior to Amoco. And this is the additive ethyl and not compounds. And this, there's a lot of little things here. There's an ad for the King Midget car. You'll see just a little bit later. When I was growing up, the penny gum machines were everywhere. And this one's got a little gum in it, but I just would not want to chew it right now. Tummy ache.
Yeah.
Back here, we've got the heat on, and you'll see some neon, and you'll see some cars, and you'll see some stuff on the wall, and that is, I'm not going to say how much, but I paid more for that sign in there. That's an original, he's out of the 30s, porcelain double face. And that all the way on top there, that was, you had the top billing on that was a privilege panel, and I put the old Sedgwick barbecue just as an idea. But underneath it, you'll see another Coke sign that was stationed right in front of the station or the restaurant. Advertise whatever you want to, just hand painting whatever you have on the menu right there. That's out of the 60s.
Wow.
All right, Dave, tell her about the horse.
Well, I got to show you about the horse. I'm going to plug it in real quick because it is, everybody's seen these things if you're in our area, but this is the only one I've ever seen like this one.
Uh-oh.
And it was on a fellow's back porch down here about Silver Point, Tennessee. And he said the mailman been trying to buy it forever, but he offered something to me right now, and I could not pass it up. And, you know, it's not just a 10-cent riding horse, it's a very unusual 10-cent riding horse. Not that it runs, but this horse, if you're on the horse, let's how much we're on there. Then you give it a kick right back here.
Oh my. Oh my.
And then we're going to slow it down. Oh, buddy.
Oh,
That is cool.
That is awesome. I love it. Oh, we gotta see him
I
gallop.
haven't named him yet.
Oh my goodness. That's unreal. All right.
Slow down, slow down. Whoa.
That is awesome.
Now, can
love
you make it, if you pull him enough, will it stop? Will it?
Stop. Okay, stop. So you just, and, you know,
How about that?
off, you know, let somebody else ride.
That is awesome.
I'm probably going to have it. The fellow bought it from, refinished it, but I'm probably going to have a really nice paint job put on it just for fun. We got 3 little grandsons coming up. They're going to have lots of fun.
Them grandsons are gonna love it. That is awesome. I love that.
I think if you look it up on the internet, I think they just call it coin pony.
Coin pony.
Most of them had a box underneath them, but that one did not. That's the original
Look, it
stamp.
tells you to gallop, touch the red lever with right heel. To slow down, pull the reins. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right behind you, right there, before we get into the vehicles, there is probably a 1930s or 40s. That's when you buy the oil.
Mm-hmm.
It was bulk oil. You pump it out right there into a glass jar where you can see it, and you would have a spout on it. That'd go how you buy your oil back in the day. And back over there, if you look, we can get over close to it in a minute. But that is a kerosene tank you see on the front of the country stores with gasoline. Everybody used kerosene. They called it back in the day. Called it coal oil. You heard old timers call it coal oil back in Virginia. Coal oil is what they call kerosene. What I grew up with. But you touch your gallon right there, and that way if it overflowed, there's a screen right there. That little lid flits up, and you keep from overflowing it that way.
Very neat.
Talk about a few cars, then we'll talk about some signs.
Okay.
This one just came in, a few years ago. I had 13 cars to be finished and built. Buses, had 2 buses, 2 Airstreams, 2 bread trucks, a wedge truck, a lot of different things. And Diane said, now, if you'll sell a bunch of them junkers, you can buy whatever you want. Of course, she lets me buy whatever I want. Anyway, but I sold them all, and I wasn't going to buy anything else, and there's a couple of bought since then. But this little car came my way the other day. This is the first post-war American sports car.
Oh, wow.
And everybody I've asked has no idea what that car is, but this is it. This is a 50 Crosley Hot Shot.
Wow.
It weighs about 1,000 pounds. If you get over here in the light, I'm going to put the lights over this side in where you can maybe get a little better shot underneath right here. It is about a 700 cubic inch, 700 cc, 26 horsepower, little overhead valve engine.
How about that?
And they made this, it's a 50, they made like 49, 50, 51, and they actually raced these things.
Wow.
And they raced them. He said, how would a car like this run 70 mile an hour? How do they want to race? Well, They raced them according to displacement. And, my thing is, it was inexpensive. It's very unusual. It kind of matches the hot rod bus. It's not a rat rod, but I don't plan on doing really any dialing up. So we'll put the top back on it. Right now, it started, set the starters off. We had the starter rebuilt. And we'll be driving this baby down the road.
Very cool.
Enjoying
Now, is it a 3-speed or a 4-speed?
I really don't know, Dave. I'm saying it's probably a 3-speed. I believe it is. I did not drive it. My mechanic drove it. That's a 3-speed. Crosley is a little history, Angie. Crosley was the world's largest manufacturer of radios back in the 1930s and 40s. And they got into appliances, and they got into these little cars. Well, you look up Crosley, they built these, very few of these. They built some little wagons, they built some little trucks. They were really kind of little ugly little things. They were so ugly, they were cute. Same kind of little motor. And they also built appliances. But you go look and see Crosley refrigerators, stoves. But their biggest, and then they got into TVs. So anyway, Crosley company very successful. And so anyway, I ran across this and just put a little bit of money it cost, I couldn't burn it.
That is very nice.
I like the emblem.
Me too.
Got the hubcaps going.
And it's still 6-volt. Nobody's converted it.
I don't think there's been a lot of mods on this thing. I need to find me an original breathing. I don't know where to find one. They'll be going to show up. I would say this about whatever we're doing today, just to whoever's listening to this today. It's not about having this stuff. The fun is the chase.
Yeah.
And the fun is the people you meet along the way, and the people that enjoy it. I've got a good friend who's passed away now. He built over 100 cars in life, including 16 or 17 V8 Corvairs, literally. For front end and front end, he built a little bit of shop, and he said, I built all those cars, but I never entered the first car show. He said the best show is when we're going down the road.
Yeah.
And that's right, because more people enjoy an old car going down the road. When you go to a car show, it's car people for the most part. So when you're going down the road and getting gas or whatever, it's just something you don't have to be dolled up, just basically, they're meant to enjoy.
Yeah.
And if you can't enjoy them, they're just not enjoyable.
That's right.
So anyway, this car here, one of my all-time favorites. It is a 54 Chrysler New Yorker Town and Country station wagon. Now, used to, when you said anything's got a California title or came to California, that was special. Well, it is still special because it didn't see any rocks to speak of.
Right.
This was still titled in Sacramento, California.
That is.
They made 1,100 of these. Let me open the back here for you. Back here in the back.
Okay. Let me grab this. Let me show them the motor.
Yeah, that is an original.
It's a Hemi. The original.
First version Hemi. That's a 331 Hemi.
Wow.
It's the original color paint. So it had one repaint. It's had some upholstery work done. But it's basically an unrestored car.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start it right here, I think. It is originally a 6-volt system, but I've got an 8-volt battery to make it crank a little faster. We started this minute ago. Should start
First.
That's for the original 7-year-old.
No.
No. That's pretty smooth.
Very nice.
The first year automatic. Power steering, power windows.
That is great.
Anyway.
That is great.
It's on the dashboard there. Added dash. Ultra luxury added dash.
Very nice. Very nice. Look at this.
Shut it down here because we're going to get smoked out here if we don't want it.
Okay.
Back in the day, they used real wood and real stainless steel. This has got it. I'm going to flip that up there for you just to kind of show you how this has not been restored. This is, I have never even vacuumed that out back there.
Oh, wow. That is
When I
super
bought
cool.
this car, all it needed the wood put back in, and I was missing about 2 pieces of stainless steel. Okay, now where are you going to find that?
Right.
I got to looking on eBay. I found a 51 DeSoto wagon, which is virtually the same car, 6-cylinder parts car. Had all this in there. The bid was about $900 something. Cost $1,000 to get it here in California. Probably took better than a month. Got the parts out that we needed. Out of the blue, the guy sends us the pink slip of that car. It's no longer a parts car; it's a real car.
Right.
We had sitting right out here. A guy was working back behind from Kentucky. He came and traded me about a 51 Crosley little wagon for that. Not running drive. He wanted to build a wrap rod out of that. So he wanted to solve it. He got the solve. I got the little. And you remember the car I looked at? We had it looked like Mater, the tow truck.
Yeah.
I traded for that Power Wagon Mater tow truck.
Okay.
A Mennonite fell out from Kentucky. But anyway, that's the story on this. Only thing I've changed on this car, we virtually did no work to it. I bought a set of Coker wires and the wide lights, 15-inch. We hardly ever modify anything, but I thought this car's unusual enough it needed a set of wide lights and some wires. What do you think, Mr. Judge?
I like
You
it.
think it needs wide lights and wires?
Yes, that makes it look good. This was for 1954. This was the luxury car.
I don't know what this cost for.
Yeah.
Let's back off here, look back this way for just a minute. You know what Angie? I'll tell a little bit about stuff on the wall up here.
Okay.
Out of the 50s, Gulf stations had those on the that's a original set of letters that put the neon back on. If you look at the top of it real close, you see a little Texaco truck. That is one of the models that I said when I came to live with my grandparents, 61. That's the 61 little tanker truck premium that Texaco put out at Christmas. It was $298. A little scooter, a couple of gas, like a 2-gallon and a 5-gallon gas tank you have around the station. Ellington Motel, original neon from Lafayette, Tennessee, that we took down. Front end of a 58 Chevrolet, a fella gave me. We owned a couple of 58s, so he gave me that one. Original Pennzoil rack, something that said used cars years ago. We've got another piece of neon to fix it, and then some. You'll see a original Gulf 30-gallon grease tank, and that is a little Jeep fire engine that some of the video they're shooting this weekend came out of a collection at one of the men's collection that we bought last year, and that little Murray riding tractor and dump trailer came out of that same collection. But down below, some new old stock letters. We have a hard time keeping that shell on the wall right there, but that was those reflective letters that I have in front of us, the 50s and 60s Shell stations. The little station, that Clinton engine, that was a lawnmower small engine. I think it was a standard back in the 50s. The little grocery store print was something that you saw in the old grocery stores years ago. That bread was something that was around the small towns. The ladies and men's are new old stock.
Oh look, it's got the here. Come around the side. You can see the
push.
the rainbow. I mean the sunbeam
Push right there.
push on the door.
Yeah.
The screen door.
The sunbeam right there. That's
Yeah,
pretty nice.
that is. You'll see more of those in the other collection that we took, but they're not in. I don't think they were in that good a shape.
That's
That was
nice.
that was pretty big one.
Yeah.
Theirs were the skinny ones.
Skinny ones, yes.
That's a pretty nice one right there. I paid dearly for that. Over here is a Pepsi out of the 60s or 70s right here, Angie. A menu board. I like menu boards. Back behind, you'll see a 6-foot pure porcelain sign back there. Those little policemen, something we made up ourselves, modeled after the original Coke out of the 50s for the school crossings. The neon sign right there with the Indian, we believe it came from a dealership in Nashville. It flashes. I think it said parts and service, something like that. Mobile oil right there, new old stock, plastic letters. Texaco had a promotion in the 40s and 50s for registered restrooms. That means that, it was supposed to be a clean place to go to the bathroom.
Now you gave us a little one of them.
Little
didn't
We
you?
have a
one,
little
sure
one of
did.
those.
You
We'll
got a
insert.
miniature one.
We'll
You got-
insert the picture of that from our bathroom.
The neon right there is a 1956. You'll see here more about the name Chester Adams. There were two of those. Actually, Scott's got one. I've got one. I gave him one. They were hanging in the cleaners down here in town, and that's in the original neon from built by Mr. Adams in 1956 from the Aromatic Cleaners.
Wow.
Clock that came out of Florida, two-color neon. On top is a stop sign. Back before they had Scotch light. That's cat's eye marbles, and if you turn the lights out and look at it the right way, let me turn these out and see if we can get it.
Your headlights hit it and they glow, don't they?
Absolutely. That's it. Let's see. Not glowing right there probably, but you might get the right angle. Anyway, they glow when the headlights hit it.
Very cool.
I was talking about the privilege panel. There's a Pepsi, new old stock. It's got a little scar there, but I bought it. I believe we were buying that down in Moultrie, Georgia at the swap meet down there. And we just stuck our name at the bottom. And that would be the way, you know, another 50s item where Pepsi got the headline and you got your name here also. Back to some more
Cars.
car stuff. Down here on the bottom, and we got stuff in the way, but this is an original 26 option 1964 GTO.
Ooh.
It is the car that they wrote the song about.
Wow.
And we started right now with the batteries down. It is the original color. Okay, right here is the build sheet on it right here. And the original, I've got a file about an inch thick, and the original handwritten invoice, which, if unless you know, you really know these things, and I'm not a big Pontiac guy, but there's no such thing as a 64
Okay,
GTO.
I got it, David.
Because you look right here, it tells you something. It is a 64 Pontiac Le Mans convertible. But you get down here to the first line of options, it has the GTO option. It was an option for $295, but then it got down here, Tri-Power. The option was $295. The Tri-Power option was $29 to get the two extra carbs.
Yes.
A lot of cool stuff.
That
Anyway,
is.
it was, some people say it was the first American muscle car. I don't know if you think, but it's a great run driving car. Probably the best all-around old car that we had. And it's great for parades. It's good burn on gas. It's dependable. And it's just a great car.
It is beautiful.
And they wrote a great song about it.
They did.
They told us.
They did write a great song.
It has the three 2-barrel carburetors, and I didn't go opt for 4-speed. This car was available, and I wanted something that my wife could drive also, so we ended up with the automatic, and it does a great job. Angie, back off a little bit there. If you want to take this right here, back all the way that way, Angie, and shoot the side right there.
Up
You're
top.
looking at an original 1964. There's a lot of things out in 64. This is a 64 Galaxy, Ford Galaxy 500 XL 427. And the claim to fame on the 427 was Ford started with a big block, I guess a FE block, probably in about 59, maybe 58, 59. They came out with like a 352 or 332, something like that. But anyway, carried it all the way to probably to about 1968. Maybe later for truck motors. Maybe some poor people correct me on that. But basically, this is they made two codes for 427. They had an R code and a Q code. R code was 2 4-barrel carburetors. Q code was 1 4-barrel carburetor. They came out in 1963, they call it 63 and a half, a fastback with this 427, and I'm not sure, but I think they might have won the NASCAR check. I know they won some races that year with that motor. And went into 64 and actually used the Q code because they hadn't seen it before. They were running NASCAR. But I believe in 64, the Hemi came along, first year Hemi, and they beat this engine right here. But it's a factory race motor in a full-size street car. If it was down on the ground, you can see it's got a pretty fancy trim right there. So it's got a lot of stainless and extras in it. This one has the original hubcaps. It's not the straightest car in the world in black, but if you look underneath it, it does on top. but the claim to fame on the 427, it was, it had factory cast iron headers, a solid lift cam, and it had something under there. It had what they call a crossbolt main bearings. It actually had bolts that went crossways through the block that held the main bearings together.
Wow.
So it's a high RPM engine, and not a lot of them for that.
And now we have.
You have something you may never see at your local car event.
I'm sure.
It is a 66 King midget. It was billed as the world's lowest priced car. Here it is right here's the bill sheet right here. Let me get over here and have a look at this.
Oh my goodness.
They started out in actually says 1941. They built from 1946 to 1970. They built 5,000 of them. And it was kind of a little novelty thing. It started out as like a little kit car, and then they built some little trainer cars, like a little go-kart for guys. And then they changed this year model to make it look like this in 1958. This is one of the last ones built. They built from 1970. This is the high horsepower model. This has a 12 horse Kohler, as in deference to the 6 horse they had. It has a few accessories. It's got windshield wipers. It's got a little heater. It weighs 700 pounds. It's supposed to get 100 miles per gallon. And as a little side note, the other day, a mechanic, Robert, said it needs brakes. And now, where are you going to find brakes for this car, right?
Are they drum brakes?
Drum brakes.
I can get them relined for you.
Well, that's what that's part of the story right there. What happened was, I looked online, and there's a guy that does that out of Ohio. I was getting ready to call him. My friend got ready to call him. Well, the fellows we did yesterday with all the Cushmans.
Yes.
That Cushman event
Yes.
was about 3 months ago, and along with that, those guys that were riding around those Cushmans, there was a guy in a King Midget.
Ah.
And the guy, his name is Paul, and he's from somewhere in Ohio. He was driving a modified King Midget with a 35 horse, 2-cylinder engine, and a transaxle with a 5-speed. This was around 80 miles an hour. It was at highway speeds. He had his hubs rebuilt and all with like Mini Cooper. He is the guru.
The guru.
Okay. He'd upgraded everything. He had a brake fix.
He was the guy that I was looking for. The actual guy.
Oh, it was the guy.
The guy. So I talked to him. He said, "Send me the parts. I'm going to tell you need to find out. So I'll send them back to you and you can pay them."
That's awesome.
I sent them within a week. My brakes are back. I mean, even down to the top of River Snow.
Very cool.
Just a cool situation. So he told me that I also, if you look at the hydraulics for these little brakes, there are quarter-ton cheap. So there are parts available. Through the following, there's a national club, the King Midget. It's a fun little car. It's go to the car show, and everybody kind of has never seen one. It started out to be silver, and I told Shane Hutton, my artist, I said, Shane, let's make a Woody out of it. And so it's a Woody.
There you go. There you
Sure,
go.
we're gonna have a lot of fun with grandkids.
I bet.
Oh, yes.
I bet.
Turn right around here. We've got 2 vehicles. We've got the 1926 Model T Roadster, which is not a rat rod. It is a traditional hot rod. I bought it on the street one day in Pigeon Forge about 10 years ago. I saw it as we pulled in on a Friday afternoon. Parked real tight. Just got a glimpse of it. Couldn't find it all weekend. Got to Sunday, found the car, found the guy, bought the car, driving it home, broke down, trailered it in, got that fixed. It was a little rear end issue with those bars, traction bar looking things right there. And go about 50 miles and the engine locked up.
Ugh.
So ended up with bought about 4 flatheads of one purchase, including one that's sitting over ready to go if we ever need another racing flathead. But anyway, this basically car looks like it's running 100 miles an hour standing still. I tell people that it's the closest you'll ever get to a Harley on 4 wheels.
Now you've added the trunk on the back, haven't you?
We added the trunk because basically, let me get you right there because there's no trunk. The trunk that we had is right here. This is all the trunk we have right here.
Oh my
But a
gosh.
few little accessories right here.
Yeah.
You know, a wrapping rag, and you know, something like that, a whisk broom. That's it. So we didn't have anything to work with. We're gonna get these out real quick because I want to show you the trick of this stuff. But anyway, so a friend of mine, this is out of like a 30-something Nash or something like that, some big car, and we put in a little receiver hitch, and
Little.
added this right here, and this gives you a little box, little trunk.
A little bit to carry stuff.
Yeah, you carry your stuff.
Very
You can
nice.
actually have a little picnic there if you wanted to. On the
Yeah.
side of the road. But anyway,
That's a great idea.
put your cooler, put your couple chairs, and wherever you want going down the
Now
road.
this is what we drove at the Redneck Rumble, wasn't it?
This is it. This is it. One of my favorites. It's not a really expensive car, but you know, most everything you see is either a rat rod or it's a T-bucket, and it's got a pretty standard motor. You don't find something that is, you know, built with. If you look at the build sheet, it's not built out of the kit. It's not built out of the catalog. And with a flathead, it sounds like this one. You
All
just
right.
don't see a lot of them.
Get a shot of that. All right. Now, you remember on Big Red, what did we just send to BJ's house? Remember we sent Big Red the truck?
Yes.
All right, now look. Read his board here.
$1965.
Dual master cylinder.
Heck. No way.
But it's set up for. It's a clutch cylinder as well as a brake cylinder.
Yeah.
It operates the slave cylinder on the clutch.
I still have the 5-speed out of that truck we're still trying to sell, but BJ is building a rat rod truck and it had that on it, and I pointed that out to him. He thought that was the lines going back to each wheel, and I was, no, one of those is the clutch, one's the brake.
And that's
Yeah.
sweet. Don't hear fire up.
Sure.
Started a minute ago. It's 3-speed, and like I said, it works like it's running 100 standing still. Ideal speed is about 30 because you get a lot of wind,
I bet.
and that's plenty fast.
Super nice.
Now that's a flathead fork.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. I'm gonna get you to do me something right here.
Okay.
Why don't you take that on the other side over there? This cap.
Put your cap on.
Yeah. When we fired up. Okay. Whoop. Loose flooded. Anyway, there's the caps. It runs through spinning mufflers right there when you cap it off.
Ah.
Yeah. Through gas caps.
Yep. That's sweet or not.
That is
Gas caps.
cool.
Right there it is. Anyway, that's that one. Now, here is, last but not least, a little history behind this car. You can see that. Dave will show you the build sheet on it. There might be some Chevrolet folks get their feelings hurt right now, but I didn't say it. Hot Rod Magazine said it. In 1968, it was the fastest pure stock car they ever tested. A 1968 and a half Mustang Cobra Jet. That's what it says right there. So the history goes like this. Ford had a 390, and they were getting their pants beat off everywhere they went. And they built 50 of those super stock cars and won everything with it that year. And this is one of the street versions, is the original Cobra Jet. no power steering, power disc brakes, meant to go straight and fast. One at $1,299. Actually goes about 21 or 22 loaded of them. Half of them went to Shelby for the GT500 KR. It's actually a 68 and a half that goes to April, May, and June of 1968. And I kind of happened on the car. There's a Chevrolet guy out of Dallas, Texas had it. He had several. I've got a little ladder if you really want to get up there, Dave.
I got it.
Did you get it? He had several Camaros he was building, and I went out and looked at it and documented some things on it. Sent to a Concours restorer, a friend of mine, Mark Stacy, and he said looks like the right thing, and he came and inspected and said it was the right car. But anyway, long story short, when I was growing up, I told my dad I wanted a 67 Mustang Fastback. Now, he didn't buy it, he didn't pay a penny for it, but I worked washing dishes for about 9 months, and that was when you get a wore out 67 Mustang Fastback for $450. So that's what it cost, and I bought to pay for it. But if I had this car, I'd have been dead the first night, I promise.
This one goes a little faster than that one did, doesn't it?
One of the things you see right here on these cars, it's a hobby unto itself, but license plates, people are into whole license plate. I tried to get a car I want to keep. I tried to get a dealer tag for each one of them.
Very cool. Then
On this wall, one of the parts stores I bought my parts from growing up, one was left out of there. Old motel sign that was here on the interstate years ago. Well, I guess there were Ramblers and American Motors, some signage from there. An old Pontiac dealership sign, I don't know where it came from, with a Scotch light, kind of like a billboard. Original United Delco, I guess where he actually had the ignition parts, the old stock BF Goodrich. Like I say, not a lot of rhyme or reason, just. And then you turn around, a couple pretty nice silent Gulf dealers from right there.
Oh yeah.
From back in the 40s. Anybody has followed prices on any of that stuff and knows they went ballistic.
Yes.
It's almost unfathomable what you used to be able to get one given to you almost, and now it's like anything else, people get the itch. But then again, what I want to say is the fun is the chase. You know,
Yes.
This is stuff fun to have, but and I look at it as investments you can enjoy, but the fun is find it and enjoy it with folks like Dave and Angie, and everybody's going to see this on YouTube.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Dave, thank you for showing us our collection.
We're not yet through yet. We're going down to the office and look at a bunch more signs and
Okay,
one more car, okay?
Sounds
Thank you, Lord. Thank you for today.